Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and I've got another video for you all today. Feeling pretty good so far because the stock market is also doing super well today. As you can see, we're currently up about $887 right now with a plus 1.16% gain, so that's always pretty nice, and especially considering that we started off pretty high as well. It's not like it started at the baseline or under the line and just went slowly up throughout the day, so this is always a fantastic way to start it off. It reminds me of the other day recently that we had where it was like a straight line just above the baseline, just went straight across the whole day and was super consistent. But anyways, as you can see, we have about $77,000 invested in our portfolio, and this portfolio includes only four main companies, four main stocks that I invest in to buy and hold long term until retirement. And then of course I'll start cashing out some once I reach like the age of 60 or so. But as always, if you do enjoy these videos where I share updates on the stocks that I'm currently purchasing and the moves that I recently made in the stock market, then please make sure to drop a like on the video, smash that like button. It really does help me out, and it also shows me that you would like to see more videos like these, because I don't mind sharing my moves at all with people if you all are interested in seeing stuff like this. Plus, in my opinion, I think it's always cool to see what everyone else is doing in the market. I think that's one of the huge reasons why Wall Street Bets is so popular, because everyone has their own DD posts and memes and stuff like that. So I personally think it's interesting to see what everyone else is doing in the market. But anyways, I just spent $811 on a stock yesterday. I actually purchased it in the after hours, and if you are familiar with my portfolio, then you may be able to guess what stock that was, especially with the price tag. I only purchased one share, so with that, as you can see, I spent $810 on one share of Tesla, and I have a lot of reasoning as to why I made this purchase. I do think that there is a possibility that Tesla may be a tiny bit overvalued right now, and if it's not that, then I do think it at least equals fair value, especially if you factor in a little bit of speculation and what I think is going to happen in the future in terms of positive things for the company and revolutionizing technology. So I have a lot of reasoning for this Tesla purchase. And before I go into discussing that, just to break down my current holdings in Tesla, I currently own 13 shares with an average cost price of $811.50. It takes up about 14% of my portfolio. We have a $57 positive return for today, and in total we are barely positive on this stock. As you can see, it's just barely above my average cost, so we're at like a $13 gain right now, which I understand is not too impressive, but honestly, if I have to point something out, it's still performing better than VOO, and I bought my first share of Tesla way more recently than I have VOO. I started on VOO in like December, so at least even with the first day that I purchased Tesla stock and from then on of me buying it like pretty high prices, I'm still doing better with Tesla compared to the general stock market trend, which is what VOO tends to mirror and represent, since it tracks some of the most popular 508 companies in the S&P 500. So I will have to say, although my gains are pretty small on Tesla so far, it's at least in the positive right now, and it's ahead of one of my largest holdings. This is my largest percentage holding, 41.54%, which this is more of a safe stock. It's not something you really speculate or have to gamble on much. But back onto Tesla, as you can see, within the past year, it is just absolutely exploded, up 301%. And if you look at the 5-year chart, the majority of that percentage gain comes from the past year. Basically, the 4 years before that didn't really do anything too crazy. However, I love to look back on these years at the chart, and it's kind of motivational for those people out there that are trying to find stocks at an early stage that will eventually skyrocket in the future. And right here's like an example of that. People had a 4-year chance to jump on this stock. Unfortunately, I wasn't super familiar with Tesla until like late 2019, so I was late to the party anyways. But this example just shows you right here that there are plenty of opportunities out there in the stock market, and I even believe right now there are plenty of opportunities to find that stock that is going to explode exponentially and make people a lot of money. So I think that is a little bit inspiring to see that. However, especially with right now, I still think there's so much room for growth, especially within the next 40 years for Tesla. There's absolutely a lot of room for growth, and I know that people use the example of Amazon and how it is like one of the highest priced stocks out there, and it's $2,500 pretty much. And people are saying that Tesla isn't going to get bigger than Amazon, which is kind of an understandable perspective. There's some validity to that. But they use that example to show how huge Amazon is as a business, but then they compare the $2,500 price to what Tesla is currently at. And people kind of just use this whole Amazon stock price, considering how big the company is and what this stock price is currently at. They kind of use it as a reference to saying Tesla stock can't be a multi-thousand-dollar stock in the future and stuff like that. But I'm one of those people that I really do believe that Tesla could easily be a multi-thousand-dollar stock in just a year or two. And in this video, I know I've done other purchase videos on Tesla where I explain my reasoning and stuff. I'm going to try not to repeat myself and stuff like that, but I will mention a few things that have been mentioned in other videos as well. So to give you my example of why I'm buying Tesla near all-time highs right now, for one thing, like I said, I think it will be a multi-thousand-dollar stock in the future just because of what they are doing with AI, production, expediting research and processes, investing so much money into building various factories across the world, such as the Shanghai Gigafactory. We have Gigafactory Berlin coming up. We have the rumors of the Texas Gigafactory. So Tesla is doing a lot to invest in their future, and I think that's a huge aspect of perseverance and ambition that I love to see within companies that I invest in stocks. And that's also a reason why I believe they don't have dividends, because I would much rather a company not have a dividend if they think they can make me more money in terms of growth of the stock price by using what money they would have given me as dividends to grow their company and improve their products, and therefore lead to more growth in my stock price, which is a higher amount in gains than what I would get in the dividends. So I think that's exactly what Tesla does with their dividend yield and why they don't have one. I think they just realize they can make more money for us as stockholders if they use what they would give us as dividends to improve their company and improve the stock price as well. So that references back on the example of a lot of ambition with creating all of these factories and stuff like that. And then of course you have the idea of full self-driving in the future, autonomous robo-taxis. You have the Tesla Powerwall and Tesla solar panels that now you can have like a grid function where you can integrate both the car and the power box and the solar panels to where it goes both ways. Like you can charge your car with the solar panels, or you can charge the house with electricity with the power that is in the car, in which that power came from the solar panels. So it's like a reverse inverse function. So it's simply new features like that. That is just one of the newer examples that people have been talking about with Tesla vehicles. And there's so many other examples out there like that. Something as simple as adding more games onto the Tesla interface. We have small details like that, but then another important aspect that I wanted to mention in this video, and I'm making sure to mention it, we have Tesla Battery Day coming up, I believe sometime mid next month. It was actually supposed to be in mid-May, on the 3rd week of May. However, they have delayed it. But on Battery Day, they're basically going to be showing some improvements they've made with a Tesla vehicle battery. And obviously, there's a lot of rumors out there with like the 1,000,000-mile battery or the 2,000,000-mile battery. So if they can make improvements on their battery, it is going to revolutionize Tesla even more. And in my opinion, this is what I personally think is going to happen. If there aren't any distractions like a stock market crash around the time of Battery Day, or like a large significant bear run around the time of Battery Day, then if there's no distractions, I think the stock price for Tesla will surge after Battery Day, because I do think that they are holding this event for a reason, and that they have some really awesome technology to reveal for us that is going to improve Tesla and Tesla vehicles drastically. Now moving on to a recent piece of news that I think will definitely help Tesla as well, if this does actually happen. Right now, just keep in mind, this is simply just a rumor, but if this does happen, it will most certainly increase Tesla stock in my opinion. So basically, there have been some rumors of Europe entertaining the idea of removing the VAT tax on electric vehicles. And if you are familiar, VAT stands for value added tax, and this can be extremely expensive and is one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't buying Tesla right now, because it makes them so expensive. And just to emphasize how much this could actually help Tesla, some of the VAT tax rates on Tesla in some areas in Europe range from like a 17 to 25% tax rate. So there are people paying $50,000 out there for a base model Tesla, and that definitely has to affect the consumer perspective on buying Tesla vehicles, because obviously if that tax weren't there and there was an incentive for like protecting the environment and buying an environmentally friendly vehicle that uses renewable energy, then if that incentive were there and people didn't didn't have to pay that tax, then I think that a lot more people for sure would buy more Teslas, and obviously that would cause an increase in the stock price as well when you have more revenue coming in and more sales, and Tesla still not being able to keep up with demand, which I think is always a great thing if you can't keep up with demand, as long as you're still having a good amount of production. And keep in mind that in Hungary, they have a 27% VAT tax. So imagine that you spend $35,000-$40,000 on a Tesla, and then all of a sudden they slap a 27% tax onto it. And that's just on like a base model simple Tesla, not like the super expensive ones. You're obviously going to think about other options out there when you're having to pay that much for a vehicle. So if they could remove the VAT tax, I think it would help out Tesla tremendously, especially with the incentives out there where people wouldn't have to pay that ridiculous tax on the vehicle. So far, we have two huge advantages with Tesla that will not only help its stock price in the short term, but it's also technology and events that are going to prolong the growth of Tesla and keep it consistently growing in the future as well, and not just a stock price gain that is coming up in a month or two. These are going to be some events that are going to affect Tesla long term, and I think that especially at this price, I know it's a little bit high right now, and if there is a crash, Tesla will most certainly drop near 50%, I think. So that's why I'm hoping that there won't be. However, if there is a crash, then I'll simply take advantage of that position as well and then buy Tesla at a lower point. And also, you have to keep in mind that a crash is a threat to pretty much every stock in the stock market. So it's not only Tesla that will be negatively affected by that. I do think that it will drop more than the typical stock, however, but I also think that Tesla, if there were a crash, would recover much faster than some of the other stocks out there right now. For example, you have like the 3-month chart, it's down 8.16%, so it is near recovery. And then if we look at the 3-month chart for a VOO, which kind of represents the general stock market trend, it's down 11.13%. So Tesla is still performing better than the typical stock market average. And in my opinion, right now, this is going to be one of those buying opportunities where people are going to look back on this price and think, man, I sure wish I bought Tesla back in 2020 for $815. But I just thought it was too high at that point. But then they're in the present right there, and Tesla is a multi-$1,000 stock, and they realize that by worrying about Tesla being too high, they never actually got a good chance to purchase because they always thought it would drop again, and it ended up never doing that. So there is potential for that happening. I do think there are going to be some good drop points to purchase Tesla at in the future. However, that's just one of those examples where if you are always waiting on a buying opportunity instead of just simply dollar cost averaging or purchasing when you think you should purchase, then there's certainly the possibility that you could simply miss out on some easy gains because you were just being way too opportunistic and waiting for that perfect price to jump in when you could have simply just dollar cost averaged and bought a share or something like that. Now keep in mind, I am not saying buy Tesla stock right now. I'm just presenting my thinking, the way that I look at the market right now and the way that I justify the moves that I make. This video is not intended to be financial advice. It is simply just me sharing my thoughts and opinions about the market and the moves that I'm making. But I just wanted to share a few examples and some reasoning as to why I am purchasing Tesla stock, especially at the $810 price range. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to smash a like on it. Drop a like if you're a big Tesla bull. I know that I am, and I love interacting with people out there that like Tesla as well and have faith in Tesla. You all are some of the smartest people out here for sure. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.